What is up, guys? Yeah, I'm back here with the deck profile again. So I decided to do a rogue deck that I've been cooking up in the lab, especially on Dueling Book. I'm gonna have a replay attached to this video of replays with Dueling Book replays, so they guys kind of see like this deck is pretty good, I would say, against all the meta, especially Frogs and Vayu, and also Blackwings. So because those decks are the dominant decks, I think this deck has a really good matchup against those matchups. Because I've been working on a theory. Gadgets has been one of those theories that I've been working on since the dawn of mankind, and I still struggle to come to terms with the fact that Gadgets isn't a high tier deck, because it's one of those engines that you get a +1 every summon, and maybe because the base stats of Gadgets aren't very strong. So a lot of times, people supplement the stats by using Solidarity, and I find Solidarity to be, although it's a great card in Machina gadgets, especially being able to enhance even the Machina monsters as well, because you're making your Fortress 3300. I decided to do a different spin on this deck, and I find this deck to be pretty fun actually. On top of the fact that it's pretty competitive, so I went to a card shop called Cardfinity. It's a new card shop in Los Angeles, and they regularly have like 18 plus players there, and it's kind of like a home vibe. It's not a very small shop, but it's kind of like a medium sized shop. And it's pretty nice because they concentrate mostly on retro formats. So shout out to those guys. They have really good pricing on top of that. $5 pricing, free water as well. There's TVs as well. That you can watch animes and stuff. Pretty cool. So in first place, I was able to win this volcanic shell. Not this one. I was able to win this shell because they gave me like $25 for credit for second place. I did get second place there, but yeah, I mean, I lost against Vayu in one of the matchups, and it was 4 rounds of Swiss. So, but yeah, $25 store credit is pretty good, and I was able to get a volcanic shell for this deck, which is what I needed because I only had 2 ultis. I'll just show you guys. I only had 2 ultis, and I was like, oh, I need one more, and I only had like this ugly rare. So I was really fortunate to see the third ulti shell in their binder, and I was able to use my store credit to get it. So pretty cool. So let's go. Yeah, let's jump into the deck file. I will have a separate video. Again, I'll have a separate video for the IRL the IRL one for POV, and then I have in this video I'll stitch the Dueling Book replays with it. So yeah, ulti shells. So let's talk about shells. The reason why Gadgets has a hard time in today's format is, for one, deck devastations around. If you get deck devastation virus and you're playing Gadgets, you lose your whole hand essentially. You also lose your chain too. So if you draw like a hand of multiple Gadgets, deck devastation virus really hurts. And then on top of that, if you only have one gadget and you're summoning one gadget and you're adding one gadget and you don't have any other gadgets, then it doesn't hurt so much, but it ends your chain essentially. And if you draw into a gadget, then they get destroyed. So I only limited the number of gadgets, I'll show you guys later, to only 2 each. But the whole point is to play the shell. It's that the shell provides you a way to deal with big monsters. Much like the Solidarity version of the gadgets, the Machina gadgets, the Volcanic allows you to have a sort of way to have like continuous smashing grounds, because you do play Avarice in this deck, and the Avarices allow you to essentially recycle the shells so you can just keep continuously popping a lot of monsters. Yeah, it's kind of like a walking lightning vortex in my opinion. Of course, to pair this off, you are playing the 3 Volcanic Rocket. So the reason why I play 3 copies is because in some hands where you're playing a way to discard the Blaze Accelerator, or the Blaze Accelerator gets destroyed by MST or Dust Tornado, then you can summon this guy, the second copy of these, and then you can get the Blaze Accelerator from the graveyard. So that's the plus side of that. Another side of this is that it's a 1900 attacks monsters, so you're able to walk over Aliases and Stratos. It just depends on the situation, but I found this the whole deck to be kind of really cool because they provide like walking smashing grounds essentially. So that's kind of nice, a little addition to that. And then I play the 1 Blaze Accelerator to round this off. So yeah, really nice little engine. The hardest thing for this deck to see is to see the shells. Oftentimes I'll have this engine without the shell engine. So this is one of those things where this is like a smashing ground, but it's a conditional smashing ground where you need to resolve this or that in order to smashing ground something. That's kind of the idea. So that's why I play it. So that's why I don't play Solidarity as well. The Machina engine, we already know my philosophy on the Machina engine. It's the 3 gear frame, the 3 force, and the one. The 3 fortress and the 1 force. Because you are playing against the meta where monsters are higher than 25 sometimes or 23 sometimes. You need a way to clap back, and this is your clapback engine, as well as the Volcanic engine. I also play the 2 gadgets of each. I don't want to get too hit by deck devastation virus, because these provide you a ammo for the fortress. So sometimes you do want to end your gadget chain so that you can bring out the fortress, and then the deck devastation virus doesn't hurt as much, essentially. So that's why I play only 2 of each. It allows you to plus, and then allows you to play other cards like I'll show you guys later in the trap lineup. The trap lineup allows you to make sure that these cards actually do something. Then I played the 1 Reaper. I thought about playing Gores. I played Gores originally in this spot, but I decided that I wanted something to allow me to gain an advantage over my opponent. So the idea is that I made this concept to make it so that I'm gaining advantage and my opponent's losing advantage. So I wanted to play a card like Spirit Reaper because it's a wall that you can just set and they attack into it and it doesn't do anything. But then in opportunities where you're able to use Smashing Ground, you can normal summon the Spirit Reaper and attack directly, and then it next a card out of your opponent's hand. That's kind of the idea. It also makes people spend their brain control on it because it's kind of annoying unless they have Caius. If they don't have Caius, they're spending their brain control to kind of clear this guy so that they don't lose any more card advantage. That's kind of the idea. And if they're using the brain control on this, I think you're winning the game because then you have your fortresses that can't get brain controlled. That's it for the monsters. It's a pretty small monster count, I would say. It's like 6, 12, 13. And then we have 16, 19 monsters. So only 19 monsters, which is all you really need in this deck. And yeah, this is the package for the monsters. So let's go into the spells. I mean, this is a spell as well, but we won't talk about that. 1 Heavy Storm, 1 MST, so you just need back row removal. 2 Avarice. I know this deck doesn't mill as much because in Machina Control, you are milling a lot of cards. So the Machina Control allows you to mill cards and then make your Avarice live. I find that that's a cool card, cool little engine too. And it would make sense to play it in this because you want to sometimes mill your shells, or sometimes even you want to mill this too as well, so that you can search it off the accelerator. But I find that the gadgets are a little bit better in this spot because they provide ammo for your fortress so that you can bring them out. So that's why I play the gadgets. And then the Avarice allows you to recycle your shells so that you can use the Blaze Accelerator to pop cards and then keep using it so that you can gain continuous advantage. That's kind of the idea behind it. And this is your +1 engine, so it's another reason why you want to go up. I don't want to play 3 because of space issues, because there's better cards to play. The 2 Smashing Grounds, I only played 2 instead of 3. I side the 3rd one. Smashing Grounds is really useful because it's non-conditional. You could just use it at will on your turn to be able to clear a big monster, and then summon a gadget to do damage to your opponent's life points directly. That's kind of the idea. And eventually, if they are on the oppression train, you want to be able to win the control matchup because you want to hit the big monsters with Smashing Ground, summon a gadget and start poking them until they can't pay for oppression anymore, and then the oppression kind of works for you. Then we have, I think that's all for the spells, yeah. So the rest is going to be traps. We play the 2 bottomlesses, the 3 prisons. Pretty fundamental in most Machina gadget lists, being able to trade with your opponent and then just summon a monster and start attacking the life points directly. That's kind of the idea. Then the cards that I like in this deck that isn't normally played in gadgets are the Divine Wrath and the Regeki Brick. So why Divine Wrath over all the other cards? Well, Divine Wrath is really good against Hero Frogs because you need something, a 1-card card that can deal with either the Substitute line or the Caius line. So if they go like Summon Swap Frog, dump Treeborn, and the next turn they go Treeborn, then a cards like Phoenix Chain doesn't deal with Substitute really well because they could just tribute off the Substitute itself, and then it will just get unlocked by the Phoenix Chain. And then Phoenix Chain stops just the Caius. Why don't I pull aside Pulling the Rug in main deck, Pulling the Rug instead? Because Pulling the Rug only deals with Caius, and it doesn't deal with the it doesn't deal with Hero Engine. That's another thing, and it also doesn't deal with the Frog Engine. So I find Divine Wrath to be very useful in that scenario. But against other decks like maybe Blackwings or Value Turbo, this card is not so great. Maybe you can hit like a Divine Wrath. You can Divine Wrath a Hamster and stop a Caius and a Gale, but it doesn't stop Value, which is kind of the most important part. So I side these out. So I just need something that can just deal with the monarchs as well as the substitute line. And this card like was really good because you can pair it with the volcanic shells. You can discard this card and negate the effect of Substitute, and then it negates their effect and destroys them. Especially if they tribute off the Treeborn Frog off the Substitute, then this basically ends their turn essentially. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. You can also Divine Wrath of Gores in some situations. So Divine Wrath of Gores can help you like win the game, especially if you have like a big line where you're just summoning a bunch of monsters and then just going for face. Divine Wrath can actually provide an insurance to stop the Gores essentially. And then the rest is just Starlight Road to protect your back row, the Solemn Judgment to protect your back row as well. This is the card that I kind of want to cut, but there are games where I've won because I knew my opponent's hand. So it's really hard. It's a really hard card to like cut in the main deck, but also I could see why you would want to keep it because there's so many hand knowledge is so important in this format. And yeah, sometimes I do want to cut it because sometimes my opponents like and I are like in the grind game, and they're like top decking into an out, and this is a really bad top deck if they establish a monster and you can't clear it. So sometimes yeah, I do want to cut this card out of this deck because it takes forever to kill your opponent with this format or in this deck because you're playing little monsters to attack your opponents directly and it doesn't really do much. And then we have the Mirror Force and the Torrential. Yeah, so that's pretty much all the trap. It's a lot of traps. You want to be able to use your traps so you can prevent yourself from dying. And then this is kind of the key aspect of this deck. So yeah, that's the V.M.G engine. Let's go into the side deck. So side deck is going to be pretty tricky. It's kind of difficult to side deck this card because your whole engine. You're playing like 3 engines in your deck and trap cards essentially. But despite the fact that I'm playing 3 engines, I was able to manage to only get 19 monsters, which is pretty good. Yeah, so let's go into the side deck. 2 oppressions only for quick draw. I don't side this against anything else. You don't want to side this against decks that normal summon all the time. And decks that normal summon all the time are Blackwings, even like Value Turbo as well. So I only side this only for what seems to be just quick draw in the event that I was playing it. But for the most part, maybe against X Sabers, but they have trap stun. Maybe I'll side this against GBs in some matchups because they have trap stun in the main deck. So I just find this card to be underwhelming as the format keeps progressing. I have the Massacre Restrict as well, another good card that you can deal with both the Substitute as well as the Caius. And then they can tribute summon, so they have to rely on synchro plays. So that's kind of the thing that they're trying to do. And their synchro plays is going to be pretty much met with the Blaze Accelerator to pop the monster anyway. So it's just you don't really mind the synchro plays. MVP of the side deck has to be Falso Dyna. I can't stress how much this is really important in your side deck. It's a card that like deals with established board if they have a bunch of synchro monsters because you can set it and it blows up all their their synchro monster. And they're kind of afraid to make a starter sometimes because you're playing a lot of traps that either interrupt or you either negate their summon by or not negate their summon, but you use like Deprison to like banish the Stardust. So Stardust is really the only out to Falso Dyna sometimes, and if you set it. But in other instances, you can just normal summon this alongside your Machina Fortress line, and then they can't bring out Battle Fader, they can't bring out Treeborn Frog. It's so good against frogs. I can't stress how much important this card is against that matchup. And then we have the 2 Kaikus. Kaiku's another good card that you can use to walk over certain monsters, but also being able to banish and stop your opponent from banishing is kind of the idea from the graveyard. Yeah, I mean, it's good in like almost every deck in this format now, and I can't stress this enough. I even sided this against Lightsworns, and that was pretty good. Soul Release, yeah, I sided this against Lightsworns in my tournament run. I played against 2 Vayus, 1 Lightsworn, and 1 Hero Frog, so out of the 4 rounds, and I only lost against Vayu Turbo. Soul Release is really good against mostly in most matchups in today's format. 2 Dust Tornado in case I get floodgated somehow. I don't see how, but yeah, that's kind of the idea. I did side this against Blackwings if I do play against it, but for the most part, I don't side it because I might play it against a heavy monster deck. 2 Cyber Dragon in case I play Machina Control. Didn't play one in the format. I didn't play it in the tournament, but yeah, that's there just in case you want to contact Fusion. It's also against Hero Beat 2, but I don't side against anything else. Needle Sealing actually put in a lot of work. Since you are playing like a lot of gadgets on your field, you don't really mind losing them all to a Needle Sealing. You put the monster count a little higher so that if they try to overcommit against you to try to clear your little gadgets, then you have the Needle Sealing as a chainable Torrential Tribute, which is really nice. This is mainly sided against frogs because Frogs a lot of times will start a chain by normal summoning or special summoning for Treeborn Frog. So you can just chain the needle ceiling to a dupe lock, and then it makes the dupe frog miss timing. That's kind of the idea. So if they summon like a Kai's, for example, and they tribute the Treeborn Frog, and they target a monster, then you can just go needle ceiling, and then I'll make dupe frog miss timing because Kai's is trying to resolve on the last chain. So I find needle ceiling to be really useful in against frogs. And then we have the one Smashing Ground as the last card. Just in case I played against a deck that is not very aggressive. If the deck is really slow and grindy, then Smashing Ground is really good against that matchup. Because, they can't kill you, so in the slow back and forth, then you can use Smashing Ground on their big monsters and just summon gadgets to start poking. Okay, and then the extra deck is pretty lackluster. You don't really need much. You just need these. One for the Starlight Road. This in case you steal a Gale, and then the 2 Chimera Tech. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I was able to win second place at this event out of 18 players. Yeah, I already told you guys my matchup. I played against 2 Vayus. One I lost to and one I won against. And then I beat a Frog Hero in the first round. And then I beat a Lightsworn player. So yeah, that was a pretty good tournament run. So if you guys want to see the Dueling Book replay, I'll attach it to this video. But if you want to watch the POV version of where I'm playing the IRL version, it's only going to be 4 rounds. Then I'm going to make a different video for that one. So yeah, pretty cool little, again, a pretty cool shop. Cardfinity. It is sponsored by it's not sponsored by it, but it's actually a parent shop, a child shop, I want to say, to Pristine Protections. So the guy who runs it has a shop that's in LA, and he decided to just throw back for the community and have a way so that you can pretty much have tournaments and stuff like that. I think he from my conversation with him, he's gonna start having like weekly tournaments where it's like revolving alternative formats. So if you're interested in retro formats in general, then this shop will do like Yugi Kaiba. I think they're really big on Yugi Kaiba format, and then they'll do like any other format besides Goat, Tengu Plant format, and Hat. I think they'll do Tengu as well, and Hat as well, but they might do other formats as well outside of the conventional ones, is what I'm saying. But they're very focused on retro format, and yeah, definitely recommend going there because it's a new shop in town, and it's doing really well with the retro community. Hey guys, so this is gonna be a Dueling Puck replay against the Blackwings. So I just want to show you guys like the various matchups. I won't do too much of the same matchup like Blackwing, Blackwing. I'm just going to do one of each basically. So Blackwing being a tier 1 deck is going to be shown on this channel. So yeah, I'm facing off using the V.M.G deck that I basically cooked up in the lab. It's essentially just Machina gadgets with the Volcanic Rocket in the main deck. Yeah, so my rating is going to be 416 to his 254. So it's not too much of a difference in experience, but that's pretty much the matchmaking system, especially at the times that they're available. So it looks like I won the die roll, and so that's pretty good because if I had 1 second, he would have dash hitted me. So I'm going to normal summon the rocket first, getting me the Blaze Accelerator. I kind of want to lead my opponent to thinking I'm not playing anything, Machina related. So that's why I summoned the Volcanic Rocket, and I only set 1 back row. So I set the MST, pretty good set for most cases, in case I don't really know what I'm playing against. I don't want to get Future Fusion, and then they, send 5 dragons. So I want the MST instead of the Deep Prison. So he's going to set 1 card and pass. I'm going to chain MST, activate MST in the end phase, hitting his Dust Shoot. So now I'm going to draw for turn now. Most likely what's going to happen is I'm going to summon the Gear Frame, search for the Fortress, and then pitch the red gadget for the Fortress. I want to do as much damage as possible in case he's trying to bluff with Gores. So I attack with everybody. I really don't mind the Gores, even if I'm doing the attack order and I'm hitting with everybody, because I do have a Prison here. So the Prison is going to kind of guise like a Mirror Force, so he doesn't over attack into my field. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set 1 card. I thought about equipping the Gear Frame to the Fortress, but I don't want to get Heavy Stormed and then he does his play. So I want to commit as little as possible. And yeah, so I don't really have to care about Dust Shoot because it's gone now, so I can keep a hand of 3 at the end of the turn. He's going to switch his Gores to attack as I anticipated that he would do. Fearing the Mirror Force, I'm going to activate the Deep Prison, and the Gore is going to be gone here. So now I need to find a way to deal with the Gores token because it has 2500 defense, so it can wall off a lot of attacks. And so he's going to set more back rows into the field. I'm going to draw for turn, and I luckily draw into a shell here. So I do a misplay here, but I still got rewarded for it, for lack of a better word. I'll show you guys in a minute. So I activate the Blaze Accelerator, and I use the effect. It's not a cost to send the shell to the graveyard. All you have to do is target one of your opponent's monster control as a cost. And then on resolution, you send the Pyro monster with 500 less attack. That's kind of the idea. But what I should have done was go into battle phase and then just force out the Icarus attack. But this worked out fine for me because Blaze Accelerator doesn't let me attack if I use it on the same turn that I'm attacking. So that's why I did this first. So I use the shell here to pop the token here, and he doesn't chain the Icarus attack. That's what I would have done. Because if you chain the Icarus attack, then you get to keep the monster, and I get to keep the shell, but at least he gets to keep his monster. And then the Blaze Accelerator goes to the graveyard, and I won't be able to wall. This walls off the attack, essentially. So that's pretty much the misplay that I do, but he also misplays as well. So then I just use the effective shell. I guess he didn't think the Blaze Accelerator was more than once per turn, but you can activate the Blaze Accelerator multiple times. So it's a continuous smashing ground. So now I'm targeting the face down. I do send the Volcanic Shell even though it doesn't resolve. I believe that's the ruling. I'm not entirely sure, but he chains Icarus and he destroys my my 2 monsters. So since I can't attack this turn, I'm just going to search for the last shell, set the deep prison and pass here. Sorry, I summon the red gadget because I haven't normal summon for the turn yet, and then I set the deep prison and I pass. So notice that he has like a deck devastation virus. What happened to his scores? So what he should have done was, since he had the deck devastation virus, he should have put the Gores, leave the Gores in defense mode, and then switch the token to attack mode. But then if he does that, then I can just crash the token into there. So I guess it's not too bad. So never mind. So maybe the deck devastation virus is actually pretty bad there if he put the token to attack mode instead of the Gores. So he's going to summon the Shura, try to get a +1, but I deprison the Shura. So now he's forced to set a bottomless trap hole here. So now I draw into yet another gadget. This means that I can bring out the fortress if I summon the gadget to search. I think I misplay here where I summon the green gadget when I ran out of the red gadget. So I think that's what it did. No, I went to battle phase straight. I think I did this because I was fearing Mirror Force and I didn't, or Torrential, I'm sorry. That's why I didn't summon the gadget. So I tried to do as much damage as possible to force out the deep prison. Main phase 2. I think I summoned the green gadget, and that's a misplay because I can't search for anymore. Too bad Utopia is not in this format, but whatever. He draws into Bora. That's enough for him to walk over one of my gadgets, so that's good for him. He attacks over the bigger one because he doesn't want to lose a lot of damage. I guess I could have been boned a little bit if he drew the Blizzard, but I do have the Blaze Accelerator to deal with the synchro play. So I draw into a green gadget again, and that's really unfortunate because now the yellow gadget has no more other target. So I'm going to have to go for the double gadget play here, where I summon to the fortress. And he does have the bottomless, as they usually do. When I have the fortress, they always seem to have it. Every single time to bring out the fortress, they have a bottomless. I'm going to put the gadget to defense, and I'm going to use the Blaze Accelerator to pop the Bora here. And then he's forced to like top deck a monster. And he draws into a prison, which is pretty bad for him. So now my gadget can actually force out that last back row. I could summon the rocket here, but I think what I do is just switch to attack mode, and then I just attack directly. He presents here, and then I chose not to summon the Blaze or the Volcanic Rocket because in case he draws a Sirocco, and guess what he draws for the next turn? He draws a Sirocco. So really good at hindsight reading. Not hindsight reading. What's it called when you anticipate what your opponent might draw and then they draw it? I don't know what it's called. I think it's called hindsight. So that's why I didn't summon the rocket, and now I'm can summon this rocket here and attack him directly for game. So pretty good here. So I was able to win game 1 because of my read, what he might draw. So now we're gonna go to game 2 now. I think I side in. What did I side in for Blackwing? Dust Tornadoes for sure, because I want to hit the back row as much as possible. So he does a normal Blizzard summon, set 1 pass with a Colute in hand. I luckily draw. I have 2 ways to deal with the Bora here. I can summon the rocket and then try to attack the Bora, or I can summon the gear frame and attack the rocket, or attack the Bora. Let's see what I do. Yeah, it looks like I go in battle phase. He's gonna activate the deep prison and deal with the rocket. I think that's better than using Colute, right? Or maybe it's better to save the deep prison for the fortress in case that he sees it, and then use the Colute here instead. But hard to say. I mean, he also plays Blizzards, but he didn't draw it, so maybe that's why he did the prison. So I set a back row. He's going to activate MST to target the back row. It's a prison. Prison is really good against Bora and level 4 Blackwings because it makes their Blizzard dead. So he activates the Whirlwind, searches with Colute, gets the Blizzard. So he gets his +1, and he's going to hit for... well, maybe he can special summon the Gale here. I think he's going to hold on the Gale here and then hit me for 31. So I think he does this because even if I have Gores, he can special summon the Gale and half the Gores token, or even the Gores itself. But I don't. So most likely he's going to pass here without doing much. I draw for turn, and I luckily draw into a Fortress, but I really didn't need this draw anyways because Gear Frame could search for it. So I'm going to summon the Gear Frame. I guess I could do a double Fortress play now because I have a lot of gadgets. This is a rare hand, by the way, for this deck because you rarely will have this many gadgets in your hand. But here we are. So I pitched the 2 cards that couldn't search as much. So that's why I pitched off and saved the green gadget. So I'm attacking the order where the fortress is hit over the Blackwings in case they have Collude. So I can pop the whirlwind in the event that they Collude, because I don't want him to have the whirlwind. But this puts me in a really bad position to a Cyber Dragon in games 2, but he didn't have it. But I did it anyways, and I equipped the gear frame in case he had a Cyber Dragon to do 3,000 instead of 4,000. So now he's kind of forced to do like a play where he normal summons the Blizzard here. Maybe I should have set the Blaze Accelerator, but I put him on the back foot. And if you put a player in the back foot, they're going to try to do risky plays. That's human psychology for you guys. So if you put them on the back foot, they're going to do risky plays, and this is the risky play, even if I set the Blaze Accelerator. So I might as well just keep it in my hand. So then he's going to Synchro Summon into level 6, going to Barrio. I believe he has lethal, yeah, with Brain Control. So he's going to Brain Control, take my Fortress that he halved. Oh yeah, because that's the one equipped it. So he didn't actually half that one. And he bounces back the Fortress, and then I lose the game because I have 5,000 life points. So Brain Control steals that game. I mean, that's the Edison format for you guys, but and he also had the Blizzard too with the Gale to back that up. So yeah, he draws really like bad. He draws only a Dark Arm and like Icarus and Royal Oppression and Bottomless. Of course, I start off with my little classic engine, Summon Gadget, set 1 pass. He draws into a Blizzard. Still no Blackwings for him, so that's pretty unfortunate. But he's gonna have to wall off a lot of the attacks using his back rows. I do draw Heavy Storm, but I don't know if I want to use it. I mean, I do have gadgets after all. So I think I summon the Gear Frame here to search for the Fortress. See if I can see the Rug. I mean, and considering that Rug is kind of generally disappearing from people's side deck, but it's still a thing that people still play in their side deck, I think I shouldn't have summoned the Gear Frame. Yeah, maybe I should have summoned a gadget instead. But this does the most damage anyway, so I put 31 damage. And we do see Oppression in his hand. So putting his life point down is probably better in games 2 and 3. So he still can't draw a Blackwing, but he does have the Brain Control here. Another Brain Control rip, but he doesn't really have a good conversion. So he's kind of forced to use the Brain Control here. Take my Gear Frame. He could go into battle phase and attack, and try to force out the back row. I think that's what I would do. But he goes into a Synchro play, which is kind of neg. And I think I might let this attack go through. I mean, what was my back row? I had a Pot of Avarice. It wasn't a real back row. All right, so yeah, and then now that the Avarice is there and I don't have enough monsters in my graveyard and I still can't draw the Blaze Accelerator or the Volcanic Rocket, I think I opt to go for the Heavy Storm here. But there's no need to do that, right? I think the best play is to use Smashing Ground. Yeah, Smashing Ground, normal summon Gear Frame. Oh, I did this because I had lethal. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I had lethal with this move, so that's why I did this play. So I do this, pitch, Special Summon Fortress, and then I smash it for game. So this was a risky play because he might have had Gores in his hand. But, I mean, I hit him for 39 already, and he didn't have Gores. So I think that I did this play, kind of risking that he might or might not have it. So I won the game against Blackwings, so this is a 2-1 victory against Blackwings. And even though he did see the deck Devastation Virus game 1, and he was able to use it, he still chose not to use it. And yeah, it wasn't too much of a damage to me playing this deck. All right, so we're going to go into the next gameplay, and I believe it's going to be against Frog Heroes, so I'll stay tuned for that. Okay, so it's not going to be Hero Frogs, it's going to be Dream Frogs. I couldn't find a replay where I played against Hero Frogs. I guess not many people are playing on ladder. The rating is going to be 457 to his 506. So let's see how this pans out. I mean, you guys can pretty much guess who wins this one. All right, so I'm going to go Dust Shoot right away, and then I hit his Substitute. This gives me hand knowledge, especially against frogs, is really good. So he's kind of forced to do either a set dupe frog or summon swap frog, send Treeborn pass. That's very likely to happen. And I do have the Divine Wrath. So the question is, do I Divine Wrath the swap frog? I think I don't, because he's not really threatening. Oh, I do it. Never mind. So this way, I put him back a turn so that he's kind of forced to find a way to tribute. So I used Shell Effect in the graveyard to search for the shell. So it kind of makes Divine Wrath a 1-for-1, which is good for me. And he changed MST, which is kind of strange to me. Not sure why he changed MST to this play. Maybe he thought I had a way to summon I don't know why he activated MST. So he sets a Dupe Frog here. He did draw into a Ryza, and I still don't draw anything. No gadgets and no Machina. So he's going to do a set. My hand is pretty slow as well. I mean, I could summon the Fortress, but I don't want to walk into a Soul Exchange. So I just wait for him to do something. He does have the dupe lock, so I'm not sure why he doesn't flip both of them. But I draw into a torrential, which is really good here. So I set it, but this is kind of like ballsy to the heavy storm. But I do have the Starlight Road, right? Yeah, I have Starlight Road even if he has heavy storm. So yeah, I'll wait for him to do something. I set the MST because I pretty much have the I do have the Starlight Road in case he has heavy storm. Draw into Wrath, set Wrath. I forgot to activate Shell, so yeah, that was a really novice misplay for me. So I definitely should be searching for the Shell because I don't want to draw into it. But I'm thinking out my deck, and hopefully I can draw into a gadget or anything. Even if I draw a gadget, that'd be good because I can summon it, and that'll be Chain Link 1, and then I can activate the Torrential in response. So this makes all the Dewfrog miss timing, which is really, really cool for me. And he also loses out on being able to use the Dewfrog lock, unless he has like Pot of Avarice, which he does have. So he's going to need both Treeborn and Substitute to be able to do the Dew block, which is possible. So, but does he have 5 monsters? I don't think he does. Yeah, he only has 3 monsters. So he's going to have to summon Substitute here. He's going to go for the Rise at Divine Wrath here, which is good. But we're pretty much, just going back and forth. I luckily draw into my Reaper. This is why I play it. Because if I had drawn a Gores here, Gores wouldn't do much. And that's why I don't play Gores. And Reaper kind of forces your opponent to respond to this. Because they're going to lose a card out of their hand. So the Reaper's going to rip a card. I think, luckily I hit the Substitute. Wow. No, not Substitute. I'm sorry. I had the Brain Control. And that was the one out to clear the Spirit Reaper. So he draws return, he gets his Treeborn back, and he's going to Soul Exchange. And then that dies. And he goes into Substitute here. I think he makes a misplay here where he tries to attack, but he doesn't realize that Soul Exchange got resolved. He tries to attack with Unifrog. Thinking he can get a free plus. So he targets everybody. I let that resolve. I don't have Solemn. So let's see what happens here. Gonna put all the frogs back, shuffle, draw 2, draws into a Heavy Storm, and now I think he wants to do double dupe here, or maybe he goes into the most damage possible. No, he just does double dupe and then Unifrog. Tries to go battle phase. I remind him that he's on Soul X, and he can't do it. So I think he does this play because he thought that he could pop a Starlight Road and then Heavy Storm afterwards. So I activate MST in the end phase. I just Wing Blast. Go for Fortress. Not too good because the dupe block doesn't do anything as dupe block. So I don't know why I commit over this. Oh, I did that because I had Avarice. Okay. So this Avarice play is going to help me see the Volcanic Rocket. And if I can see the Rocket, I can pop his dupe block. Yep, and I draw to it. So this is really useful for me because now I can see the Blaze Accelerator, and I can just deal with his dupe block. So now he has to find another... he has to find another Avarice if he wants to make the dupe block again. So I use all the effective Blaze Accelerator. Maybe this is a misplay. I think what I should have done was just pop his dupe block or his Unifrog and leave the dupe block. I don't know what I was afraid of. Maybe I was afraid of him going for Lad. I still don't agree with that play, but yeah. So I use it and I pop all his monsters. So now he's kind of like my 8 cards to his 7, also 8 cards. He draws in Spiritual Water Art. That's a main deck card, which is kind of weird. He's going to activate Heavy Storm. I activate Starlight Road, as I've been holding on for the whole game. I think I leave the Stardust in attack position because he used Brain already. Yeah. So now he's going to go for the Ryza play. I Solemn Judgment the Ryza. And now he's going to go for a Swamp Frog play to try to stall as much as possible, and he just admits defeat. Okay, I guess he didn't have enough life points to sustain the damage here. Okay, let's go to game 2 here. I set it in Kaiku because it's really good against the swap Sentryborn play. But he doesn't open up that play. So what I do instead is I summon Yellow Gadget, most likely. And I do have the Blaze Accelerator Volcanic Shell combo in case I want to start dealing with monsters. Go into battle phase attack for 12, do as much damage as possible. And this is a really good play if they have one set, because they're kind of forcing themselves to they're forcing themselves to use a Regeki Break or Wing Blast on a 1 monster, but he doesn't have Treeborn anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Here he can go Cyber Dragon to Contact Vision, but he doesn't do it. He just passes here. I draw into another gadget, and I summon it and get the red gadget. Unfortunately, I do the red gadget, so that kind of ends the chain with the green gadgets. So I go into battle phase attack, do as much damage as possible. I contemplate whether I want to set a back row because I have a feeling that set card is like a Dust Tornado, And I think I do it, but at the same time, I think I go into end phase and just discard, which I did do. So I'm playing around the fact that he has Treeborn in the graveyard, but there's no need to do that because he doesn't have a Treeborn. So I'm not sure what I thought, by not setting a back row. Okay, so he's gonna contact fusion, go into Chimera attack. That's gonna be 3,000 damage. That's gonna hurt. So I'm gonna take. Well, he doesn't want to attack. It gives me the Gore's value. So now I should just basically use the shell in the graveyard, search. I use the Blaze Accelerator. I think he uses Dust Tornado here. Yeah. So this makes it so that I kind of have a battle phase. Hopefully I didn't cheat this guy. I summon the green gadget, search, and then I set Torrential. Okay. So Torrential is pretty good because it kind of walls off the second summon. I could use Torrential here, but I'm going to wait for him to Caius me in the event that he's afraid. So, yep, he just attacks over, which is smart. Sets 2 back row, which is surprising. I still have to deal with this 3,000 beat stick without a Blaze Accelerator. So I just summon the Gear Frame. And I think what I do is I try to pitch for the Fortress. Yeah, and I pitch the red gadget. Yeah, because I ran out of red gadget. That's not makes sense. No, that makes sense. So I pitch the red gadget to summon the Fortress. Still no response. I'm going to attack. And then he's going to Dust Tornado the back row. And then I attack his Fortress. And still nothing. Wait a minute. So he activates this in the start of the battle step, yeah. So now I still have to deal with this really large Fortress Dragon. At 3,000 attack, most likely he's going to attack with this. I'm going to deprison it finally. And so I wasted 2 of his Dust Tornado, which is nice. And yeah, his Wing Blast discarding the Unifrog was good for me as well. So he's going to go back into the dupe block here. This is going to be pretty challenging for me. So what I need to draw is the Volcanic Rocket to deal with the dupe block. This hasn't happened yet. This was game 2 that I did that. So if I can draw a rocket, that'd be good. And I don't. So I just summon Gadget, start thinking out my deck. I do have the Divine Wrath in case he wants to go to Monarch. A Monarch play, which is very likely to do. He's going to tribute for Caius. Had the Treeborn, but he had a back row they couldn't use, which is Karma Cut. So he didn't want to use the Karma Cut. So I Divine Wrath here. So that's pretty good. So I deal with the Caius, and he can't loop it now. And I luckily draw into the Rocket, which is really good. So this is why Rocket's really good, because you can get it out of the graveyard. So I search for Shell, add a Shell to my hand, and then I summon the Rocket. And let's see if he does the Wing Blast play, or the Karma Cut play. No, he does not. Well, I can't have a battle phase anyways. So I put the Yellow Gadget defense mode. He draws return. He does have the Heavy Storm. That's not really good against this particular board right now. But what he can do is Soul X, tribute my Rocket, summon a Caius, banish the Blaze Server. So now I can't get it back now. So now I have to find a way to deal with this Caius. And even if I have the Rocket that I drew into, I won't be able to search for it. So I kind of do this play where I'm forced to do the Fortress play. And then I go into... Oh, this was a bad play. So I equip the Gear Frame thinking it might be Regeki Break or Heavy Amir Force. Because he hasn't been used it forever. He's going to Karma Cut. And that's a good Karma Cut for him. Good thing I summoned the Kaiku though, because then he would have banished my other Fortress if I had it. Actually, I don't have it. Okay, so here I should have searched for the... No, I don't have anything. So I kind of had to hope for a miracle here. Like an Avarice to deal with this Caius. So the Caius rocks over the Kaiku, and then he summons a Swamp Frog. So now he can bounce his Caius back, and he does that. Ooh, I drew a good one. So this was a really good top deck for me, because if he had left the Caius out there, it would have been pretty bad for me. So I guess he did misplay, because he doesn't anticipate the Falso and seeing that he wasted 2 Soul Exchange already. No, he only used 1. He can technically Brain, and then sack for Caius, but let's see if he draws it. No, he draws into Oriza. So he sets an MST to try to scare me. I think what I do is I still put the Falso in defense mode and attack, and then I set this Starlight Road here. He doesn't MST in the end phase, which is kind of curious to me, but he does see a Karma Cut, and I think he does the MST because he wants to protect his Karma Cut from an MST, and he didn't see an MST yet, so it makes sense why he would do this play. So now I had the Falso Dyna. I had the option to try to go for lethal here. So I think that's what I do. I put everybody to attack mode, I think. No, I just do just enough to where he has to Karma Cut the Rocket here to survive. Yeah, that's why I summoned it. So that gets banished, and all my rockets. And he draws into an Avarice. That's a pretty good top deck for him. So he Avarice is here, so he can see frogs now that he can just set and wall off my attacks. I think I remember this game. He draws into like another Avarice, and he activates that Avarice, and he just draws. Yeah, and he already has a Dew Frog, but he's just extra BM. So I was in a really good spot, but then he drew into a spell card that can get him out of the game. And now he has a Water Art too on top of that. And I'm forced to like set a bottomless and pass. No, I attack in case he had a Treeborn Frog. Although I don't think he has Treeborn Frog. That was a misplay to attack it. Maybe I thought I was going to be able to attack over a Unifrog, but there's no reason. Yeah, there was no reason to attack there. So that was a misplay. He Heavy Storms. He sacked for Ryza. I think he wins this game. Yeah. Yeah, because I don't have Fortress in my graveyard. So I sided in the Needle Ceiling and the Master Restrict. So this is a pretty good hand. A really good hand, actually. Because he can't do much with this particular board. So I set everything. Draws return. I think I Dushy to him. And I wait for him to draw into a Soul X to flip the Restrict when he Soul X me. Oh, I drew into Reaper. So this is really good because now I can summon the Reaper, bring out the Fortress, and then start ripping his hand apart. So I attack him. No Gores because, I didn't see it. So I'm going to rip a card of his hand, roll the dice. I think I hit the Karma Cut, yeah. So I would do as much damage as possible because time is on their side usually, even though they don't have a Treeborn Frog in the graveyard. So he drew pretty bad actually. So he finally sees the swap. I have the option here to just Solemn Judgment this swap. Do I do that though? No, I don't do that. There's no need to do that. And he's going to set 2. Okay, so I'll go into battle phase. He's going to Econ the Reaper to put in defense. That destroys it. I attack for 18 and then Fortress. And then I think I saw him. Yeah, I saw him here in this game. Okay, so yeah, that was pretty much it against Dreamfrog. So even though they do have the infinite Treeborn, I mean not Treeborn, but they have the infinite dupe block to be able to just keep dupe blocking me as much as possible. The fact that I can just see the shells and recycle them. But I think in game 2, it was kind of hard to get rid of the dupe block. But in game 1, I was able to deal with it pretty effectively. Okay, so the last one's going to be against Gladiator Beast, I believe. I didn't play it against Value Turbo at all on ladder, which was really surprising. I guess people are just tired of that deck. But yeah, I didn't play it against it, and then I played against GBs instead. So stay tuned for that replay. Okay, so I'm off against GBs. I summon the Rocket first. I win the die roll, essentially. And I see the Blaze Accelerator. Since I have a Starlight Road in my hand, I'm not afraid of Heavy Storm. And he does Heavy Storm. He does activate it. And I Starlight Road and get a Stardust. So this is a pretty quick victory, I would say, if I can bring out a Stardust against GBs. And I also draw a Reaper too. So then I just start attacking. Lucky for him, he does have a Wabaku, but it's not so great. Because if he tags into like a Bestiary, my Stardust can negate it. So he's kind of forced into going to a Laquari. And I just bottomless it. Maybe I should have saved the bottomless. I'm not sure why I was afraid of the Quarry. I don't think I should have, summoned that. All right, so he goes to Prisma. Unlucky for him though, he draws his Darius, and in a lot of GB variants, Prisma Glad variants nowadays, they only play one Darius. So even if he drew the Test Tiger, it would be kind of a brick. Yeah. So he's gonna use the effect of Prisma to send the Bestiary to the graveyard. I just take the damage. And then I just go summon Gadget, I think. No, I Heavy Storm him and pass. Okay, so that was a pretty good quick game because he Heavy Stormed into a Starlight Road. But that's kind of the risk you play by playing a GB deck when you Heavy Storm somebody. Because, like, imagine if he had played, like, that Heavy Storm was like a trap instead, because they sometimes cut Heavy Storm. Would that have been better? I think so, but, I mean, I did have Starlight Road, so it's hard to say. Okay, so I did draw into the Royal Oppression, so that's really good against Glads. But they do play Trap Stun in this deck, so that's something you have to worry about. I think I go into battle phase and attack. Not fearing the Wabaku too much. Yeah. So here, what I can do is, since he set 2 in his first turn, I mean, I don't think that the other card is a chainable. It's turned out to be Solemn. Okay. So it's likely that if I set 2, it would be uncontested. But I think I set 1 because I was afraid of Bestiary. Yeah, I was afraid of Bestiary, I think. So he tags out the Amaryllis. I activate the Oppression once it's back in the deck. I think he Solemns here, yeah. So that was a good Solemn for him. So it goes into Laquari. and then you can tag out into a Sam Knight. Okay, so it's pretty good here. My Smashing Ground can deal with the Sam Knight. Oh, this is really good. So the reason why I also play Shell, this engine, is because in case that's a Chariot, the Blaze Accelerator can actually deal with this field first. I do misplay though, even though I shouldn't have done this. I should have definitely activated the Blaze Accelerator first before summoning the gadget. But I feel like it's not that harmful. It's kind of harmless, so that's why they don't Chariot here. But I mean, I would Chariot if I had it. So he goes into... I go Blaze Accelerator, pop both his monster, search for the Shell, and then I pop the last monster. So I think that's why he made the Sam Knight. It was kind of like a read in the event that it wasn't a Chariot. I mean, I made a read that it wasn't a Chariot, and that's why I did this play. So now I can't attack, but I at least have a Shell for the Divine Wrath. He draws in this Trap Stun. So this Trap Stun that he has already set is going to do a lot of damage to me. Because he can just Contact Fusion twice for Gyzaris. So this is going to hurt me really bad. So Corey's going to go in here. He's going to attack me for 400. I take the damage. He's going to go into Darius. Go into Bestiary. Oh, I'm sorry, Sam Knight. Special Summon Testire. Go into Bestiary. Pop a back row. So he's probably going to pop like a set first in case it's Book of Moon. But Book of Moon doesn't stop GBs from doing this. But lucky for me, I do have the Smashing Ground. So I don't really mind this. And he sets the Trap Stun. Alright, so what I do now is I Smashing Ground in case he drew the Chariot. Oh my god, I keep misplaying. Okay, that should have been the Smashing Ground first. So I Smashing Ground here, and then I set the Deep Prison, or attack and then set the Deep Prison. So even though he was able to do all this crazy play, the gadgets just do a lot of, degenerate stuff. But he does have a Trap Stun to deal with this Deep Prison, so now he can just tag out. So now I'm kind of forced to top deck into a Machina monster. He goes into a quest to see another GB. And let's see if I just see the fortress. Do I see the fortress or not? Nope, I see the bottomless. So I just start summoning gadgets, hopefully being able to draw into one. Yeah, and then he's kind of forced to attack without summoning a monster. But he doesn't tag out, which is surprising to me. I guess he's afraid of oppression. So yeah, I guess he just wants the 1600 body. Summon the gadget, search, and then I set the Divine Wrath. So I'm pretty much trying to get back in this game. He draws the MST, hits the Divine Wrath. I attack for 400, and then tags out until a quarry. Here I can bottomless, and I think that's what I do. I bottomless here. And he summons the quarry. I draw into Dust Tornado. Summon the red gadget, search. And I set the Dust Tornado in case he draws into, or he tries to tag into Bestiary. So now he just attacks over, doesn't use the Proving Ground, goes into Sam Knight. His set is a Deep Prison, so I activate Dust Tornado. I shouldn't have used that actually. Oh, I Dust Tornado because it was a Wabaku. So I set a back row, see if I scare him a little bit. Nope, attacks me for 16, gets me down to 300. Doesn't tag out, which is really surprising to me because if he had tagged out, he would have had a larger monster. Unless he only plays 2 Laquari. No, he only has 1 Laquari. He should have set the Proving Ground. But now I'm able to just search, get the Blaze Accelerator, attack over the monster. So now I'm in a commanding position because now he can't draw a monster that's bigger. Unless he plays Hoplamus. Draws into a quest. And then he sets the Proving Ground finally. I search for the fortress. Since I have the Starlight Road, I just go all in. So I pitch the yellow gadget, special on the fortress, and then I win the game. So not the best GB player, even though he's pretty kind of high rated. He did do a lot of good plays, given the hand that he had. But at the same time, he was doing some questionable plays that he could have definitely capitalized on certain parts of the game. But again, I am playing a deck that deals with monsters without proccing the Chariot. But even though I did misplay as well, definitely summoning the gadget and not clearing the GBs first was kind of a misplay as well. But yeah, that's a game 2-0, and that's pretty much all I'll do for the replays. If you guys are interested in watching the rest of the replays, I'll have a list on the description or the comment section, and then you can just watch it all on your own. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all the commentary I'll do for this particular deck profile, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was my holiday special deck that I've been working on in the lab, and it paid dividends in the local scenes. All right, I'll see you guys later. Peace.